Mozzie asked, do I regret not going to Hogan's bar? Let me think about this. Do I regret flying across the country with an obviously gay, grossly overweight dude who creepily wanted to pay my way to hang out with him at a wrestler's bar in Florida? Urban style individual.
What's up with y'all? Hopefully this video finds you in good spirits, and if not, well, at least you're not DSP. In this video, we're going to listen to DSP do his usual ramblings, but there are a few gems in here, so let's get into it.
Yes, of course. Rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. A lot of people are just joining right now saying R.I.P. Hulk Hogan. Yes, rest in peace to the Hulkster. Very sad news, obviously.
Now, in my opinion, I know a lot of people are talking about Hulk Hogan right now. Obviously, he's a legend. I know he had his qualms with urban style individuals, so to speak, but I don't really have a problem with the guy. That doesn't stop me from appreciating his gifts. I don't really care about his personal life, but that's just me. And in terms of how that correlates with Phil, I don't really feel like Phil said anything crazy. So that's it on that.
By the way, today might be a really weird day for me to figure out contributions because apparently the United States dollar is in a tailspin. Like, because of tariffs and all this political stuff going on, apparently the dollar's value has absolutely plummeted. So if you guys are contributing in other currencies, it may be a completely different exchange rate. I would have to look it up. The £1 is not a big deal, but like if I get like a £5 super chat, I might have to figure it out. And it might be like way different than it was before.
Even if that is the case, why is that something you're talking about right now? I mean, you can talk about it, but why haven't you figured out those conversions already? I mean, you can simply look those things up if it's applicable to what you're talking about and create you a little chart that you can look to off screen. Done. What are we talking about here? This is just you trying to create a situation out of no situation to try to convince people that you're working harder than you actually are.
Mozzie asked, do I regret not going to Hogan's bar? Let me think about this. Do I regret flying across the country with an obviously gay, grossly overweight dude who creepily wanted to pay my way to hang out with him at a wrestler's bar in Florida?
See, and this is why people call you weird, Phil, because you're the only one that thinks it's a problem with what PPP was trying to do. Now, obviously, you got snaked in the end, but on the surface, from what you understood in your reality, that's what friends do. I'm not sure understanding what the big deal is. So when you take these extreme approaches to everyday things, all you do is alienate yourself.
I think I made the right decision ultimately. I'm just saying. I think I'm in a really good position right now where I didn't have to like live with horrible regrets and things. You know what I'm saying? Okay. See, people want to cause drama, but the truth is, let's be honest here. This is the kind of guy, I mean, we all heard the stories about him and Andy partying in Vegas and him watching while Andy did stuff. It's pretty sick fucking stuff, all right? So we all know what he was getting at. There's only one reason why he would try to be inviting me to go somewhere. I'm not playing that fucking weird-ass fucking game with these fucking deviant weirdos. So, no thank you.
My question to that would be, how did you figure out that information? Did you go researching their public profiles, quote unquote, like you used to say, when you was trying to defend that weirdo Derek? How can what the casino did be weird, but what Derek did be nothing? How do you reconcile those things? Unless there's more to it than the whole Derek thing. And I know I might be mispronouncing the guy's name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. There's no way that these are on equal footing, Phil.
Anyway, so moving on from that, no. The thing is, with Hulk Hogan, I've seen him before. I've actually seen Hulk Hogan at multiple shows too. I was at a SmackDown in the early 2000s when he was actively on the WWE roster. They came to Bridgeport, Connecticut, where I lived, and I attended that SmackDown. I saw him in person in the ring, So that was cool. I had no desire to go meet him in person at a bar somewhere. No.
Look how he's trying to distance himself from the legend. Phil, we know you have a personal and a really intimate relationship with Hulk Hogan. It started when you were a child. It continued into your early adult life, and now you consumed by it in your midlife. Because we know that you spend the majority of your time and most of your money pulling Hogans. So I know this day is somber for Phil. It's somber for a lot of us, but it's especially somber for Phil.
Jade, it's all good. He says, sorry, I'm not a fan of Hogan. To be frank, when I was younger, I was a big fan of Hogan because he was like the superhero of the WWE. It was WWF back then. As I got older and you learn more about the business and everything, I don't like the guy. Like when I heard about what he did in WCW, he comes back to WWE and he's trying to push his weight around and everything. And then you find out later on about, his behavior behind the scenes and everything. You're like, ugh. But, I mean, that still doesn't mean that he isn't.
I mean, look, there are stories out there about what Hogan was doing and what he wasn't doing. And I'm not saying he was right, but I will say this. Maybe we don't get a lot of those moments if he was not like that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to sit here and justify every little move. I'm not astute in that world like that. Okay. I'm just looking at it from a storytelling. If you talk about professional wrestling, can you tell the tale of the business without him? You can't. The two most pivotal moments in the history of the business, he was a part of. So, I mean, you got to give him his credit. It's Hulk Hogan.
You want to know the funniest part about this? So this is just a quick hangout where we talk for like 20 minutes and then we jump right into the game. It's a good way to start up and address issues, like address the Hogan thing before we start playing Donkey Kong and then we get derailed constantly, right? So I used to do this all the time and people were always telling me that they didn't like it, just get to the game. So I said, well, I'm going to do a formal podcast then. So I started doing a podcast and I've done it for years now, right? So now I'm going back to just doing these little hangout sessions before we start with gameplay. On certain days, we don't do a big podcast. People say, oh, you're doing a podcast. Well, you used to tell me I didn't do a podcast at all. Even when I was doing the podcast, you would say, that's not a podcast. Well, now it is a podcast, according to these fucking people. Oh, okay. So now I'm doing a podcast, even when I'm not doing a podcast. But by the way, I'm not a podcaster and I don't do a podcast, right? You fucking morons.
Phil is hyperfixating on what someone is calling something opposed to its functionality. People don't care what you're calling it, okay? The problem with the podcast or the pre-stream, pre-beg, or whatever you want to call it is that it exists at all. That was always the problem with it because it's self-serving and it does nothing for the entertainment value and it does nothing for the audience. It's simply for you. It's more time for you to beg and that's it. So when people are talking about this podcast, they're calling it that because you're calling it that. Okay. But it was never about that. It's about its existence.
Christ is King says, not to add any negativity to the mix, but people just look for anything to belittle you on, valid or not, because they have, shortcomings and problems in their own lives. Correct. People look at me and say, I don't want to be him. Why? Why wouldn't you want to be me? I'm 43 years old. I'm in the best shape of my life besides when I was a teenager. Okay. I'm doing well for myself. My streams are doing absolutely great. I'm hitting goals. I'm making great money. My setup is amazing. I get to do what I love for a living, playing video games and hang out every single day, full time. I have a loving wife who I love to death and she loves me to death. We have a great house we live in. We have an awesome pet cat. Like, what exactly is there to not like besides a bunch of fucking losers on the internet who say nasty things about me every day?
See, this is why no matter how much you try to drive this home, we don't believe you because there's a part of it that comes off as you're trying too hard. I'm just being real with you. You are. And so when you try to drive it home that much, you become a lot less convincing. Things start to appear as props, as ways to get monetization opposed to it being something that's genuine. And I'm just being real about it. Now we know Cat is your wife and we know you got a cat and we know you stream and all that. But all of it is very hollow. And that's the point that you're missing. People can have none of the things that you have and you can look at them and you can tell that is love there. And that's what you're missing, Phil. All this stuff is soulless. It just feels like props.
Why do I care? I'm living the life. Why do I give a shit about these no-load, nonsensical people on the internet? Nobody cares about the fucking shit on the internet. Here's my real life around me that I get to enjoy, and I get to ignore all these weirdos on the internet. Sounds like a good deal to me, but to them, I'm living one of the worst lives possible. That's called coping. That's exactly what that's called. Having to cope because your life sucks, my life's great, you're incredibly jealous of me, so you try to bring me down.
So this is Phil once again projecting. And the reason that he lashes out at people and gets upset is because he doesn't like his life. So he assumes that's why you're talking about him. Phil, you do this all the time, bro. This is getting old. Okay. And then you want to talk about the internet. Phil, you're probably on the internet more than anyone in human history. And I don't even think that's a crazy statement to make. It might even be true. But you want to try to ostracize and demonize people who are on the internet when you're the poster boy for the damn internet. What's wrong with this guy?
But it doesn't work because I live in the real world while you live in the virtual world because your virtual existence is better than your real one. Oopsie poopsie, mine's better. So, too bad.
Now you see how you lost steam there? And it lost conviction. That's because that was all emotionally based. He doesn't really believe that. Okay. Phil here a lot of times he's not really trying to convince us. He's trying to convince himself. And I'm sure he goes to Cat after stream and pounds his chest and talk about what a tough guy he is. Did you see how I shit on the detractors today? Ha ha ha. Phil, it's a nothing burger, man, because we know that you're projecting. It's very easy for people who are mentally astute to see right through this shit. It takes about 5 seconds. So the only people that you're convincing is yourself and a handful of your dents.
Someone tipped $1 and said, people have brought this up before. Someone tipped $1 and they said, I don't understand why you have the same goal on your day and night streams because they're different lengths, right? Your earlier stream is over 4 hours long. Your night stream's usually between 2 and 3 hours long. So why do you have the same goal, support goal for each? Why not have a bigger goal for your first stream and a smaller goal for your late stream? Okay. The answer is simple. I've answered this before, but I haven't talked about it in a while because
Now listen to this convoluted nonsense.
my support is not directly proportional to the length that I run a stream. It's not. It's not like, oh, Phil's earning a certain amount per hour. That's not the case at all. All right. At all. My income is based on, number one, what I'm doing on a particular stream, not the length that I'm doing it, but what I'm actually doing. That's number one. Number two, it's based on who can actually come by at a particular time. And if what I'm doing is in line with what people want to see at that time slot. Okay. There have been certain games that only worked on day or night streams. But does that mean that when I only play that game that I should have a set goal of more or less?
Phil is trying to act like he's network television and he's shuffling around multiple shows that are just bringing in a number of views. Like he's ESPN and he's trying to figure out what show to put behind him and in front of First Take or something. Like, what are you talking about, man? But I'm going to let him continue.
Why? If people are going to contribute, they're going to contribute. It doesn't matter how long the stream is. It just matters that they can be there for the stream they want to see. Do you understand? So that's why I'm not going to adjust the support goals or whatever. They're fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Since we adjusted all of the stuff in the fall, right? It was December when we locked into how we're doing this now. We're not doing, streaks or anything like that. Instead, what we're doing is ongoing tallying of hitting goals. When we hit 10 goals, there's a reward. Then we do big marathons in between. Okay? Same goal every stream. First, it was too much. Then it was not enough. Hitting that 150 is perfect. That's exactly the right number for what we're doing. So why change it? It's working. And again, like I said, people come by when there's a game they want to see or when there's a hangout session they want to be a part of, and they support appropriately. It doesn't matter how long it is. The length is a moot point. Okay?
Length is not a moot point, because if length was a moot point, then why are we getting live daily raps when you don't hit the goal? Why do you stall the way you do when you don't hit the goal? You're doing that to create more time, aka length. So you cannot sit here and tell me that length does not matter. Furthermore, time is money, right? Everybody know that. So that's why I said what he was saying was convoluted. It makes sense to no one who's actually paying attention. The reason why you should charge less or expect less on the late stream is because by definition, you're doing less work because you're not there as long. This is not that difficult to figure out, or at least not for what you like to say, us normal people.
Joe, that's correct. He says, worth remembering and reminding people you're cool to most people in here with or without support. I am cool to anyone who's cool with me. I have no problems with anyone. And you know what? And the truth is, even the people who don't like me or leech off of me, I don't wish them ill at all. I'm happy. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, that being successful and everything. I'm good. It's just that people come in here and try to.
I don't want to hear this self-righteous nonsense. This man sitting here talking about he's nice to people who's nice to him. We can go back to when he first got his setup. He loved talking about his setup. But all the tech streams that followed as he was purchasing things for his streams. And those people were trying to help you, genuinely trying to help you. And how did you treat them, Phil? You treat them like dog shit, like you treat them every single day. So don't sit up here and act like the only reason you lash out and we get these rants is because people are mistreating you. Okay? You treat everybody like shit because you look at every human interaction as transactional. You treat people like they're disposable. And that's why you ended up in this box that you're in. This hell that you've created for yourself. That's why you should never get, when he make money and all that, you should never get salty about that, because Phil's descent into madness is going to be a slow, painful one, and the world is going to witness it. So he's already living his punishment. All right. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.